Yes, we are. Oh yeah. Let everything. Oh, what is going on over here? There we go. My man Lobo, what's happening? Thank you for joining. I was watching the All Star game, and I don't know if people really, especially with this Michael Jordan movie coming up, because I am going to see the Michael Jordan movie tomorrow. I think tomorrow or Thursday, maybe it's Thursday. We have to see. There's a special opening for old folks, so I have to see if we're gonna go. But I say that because if I remember right, the first All Star game. So in '76, when Magic was a junior, they would have an East West game, but it wasn't called McDonald's. So the first true McDonald's game, I think, was Magic's senior year. And I'm trying to think who else around the country was that same year. Because they probably, I don't think Jay Vincent made McDonald All American, but he was the same year. What's happening, PJ Allen? Sean, what's happening? Glad to catch you. I'm glad you're able to catch me. And it's funny now they have, they're showing that if you guys remember Milt Wagner. Milt Wagner's a year or two younger than me, if not more. If not more than two. He's not because he played with the McRae brothers, so I want to say Milt might be a year younger than me. But we have with the Wagners, we have three generations of Wagners that made it to the McDonald's All American game. Now, what is the odds of that? I mean, do you see that as some type of possible grooming? I mean, what is the McDonald game more than seeing it as being groomed? There we go. So that's what it is. It's a type of grooming, preparing you to see who would do the script, who won't do the script. I mean, I remember watching when Shaq played Vince Carter. As I say, I always talk about Vashawn Vaughn, and he played in it. Later was drafted by the Bucks. I don't think Giannis played in it because Giannis wasn't here. So I was watching that. Found a new, really authentic Mexican place we've been eating. So we ate at tonight. So just got back. So that's why I came on a little earlier tonight. Um, don't forget the women's Final Four is going to be Friday night, and then their championship is going to be Sunday, whereas the men's going to be Saturday, championship on Monday night. So as I said before, I'm having people over Saturday, and then Sunday I'm probably going to be outside playing pickleball or something. So it's supposed to be 50 here. We have not had a 50 weather day since 50 weather days since what did it say? November. It has not been over 50 degrees here since November. That tells you. I've been looking for a Blackhawks fitted too. Yeah, they don't sell them a lot here. Yeah, they don't sell them a lot. What I found is I bought this one here, but I bought this one years ago. And this is these jerseys are from this jersey because it's got the right here. The new one's got them up here. So this must be 17. And this is Toes. He just got recently traded, but I buy anything to say 19. That's my number. So, and I got a red one too. But the red one is little has it up here. Has these tomahawks up here. But it is the best sports symbol by far. They psych the people out of getting rid of the Redskins when we know the real history behind that. It's funny, the man that named them the Redskins, that George Marshall, was a very racist person, but it was one of the few things that represented the people. So that's why I like it. And that's why none of this, even with the Cleveland Indians, is none of that was. I mean, that's what a team in the Midwest should be called. I mean, people forget Indians started on the East Coast, up and down the coast, all through Canada. I hear Turtle Gang, arguing with cats, and it's like the history, the true history. And I know I'm going all over, but the true history shows that people moved all over, especially out of the Americas. We moved all over. So, uh, I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's a representation of the people. To me, it was like when they named all the high schools and stuff. I didn't see that as like North Dakota was called the Fighting Sioux. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? I mean, that shows the Sioux in a positive, positive light. People with courage, warriors. That's why the warrior name in Philadelphia. People forget the warriors started in Philadelphia, and that ain't nobody saying nothing about that name. And that is an Indian name for someone who listed in one of their, their military wings. That's what a warrior is. And it's, a lot of initiation and stuff of ways you can prove to be a man. Wasn't just one way. Ah, so yeah. So one interesting thing I did notice, if you look at one of the pictures I showed last week on my community channel, the little box, it looks like some type of little light, but it's a box so big. I mentioned this yesterday, but I forgot to describe it. But the box was like, I mean, again, I'm on the ground, so it looked like it's about this big. It wasn't there. When I went back, so when I was there Wednesday, I took pictures of it. Yes, when I was there, excuse me, when I was there last Tuesday, I took pictures of it. And I put it, my earliest community. It's a little black box that looked like lights or something. When I went back Saturday, that thing wasn't up there. And it ain't easy to take shit down up there. The big scoreboards up there, they lower them motherfuckers down to fuck with them. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I went back and I didn't see it. I didn't see it, and it wasn't one on the other side because before it was ones on. They had those on both sides, and I ain't talking about the speakers. It's a small little round thing. I thought that was mighty strange, mighty coincidental. Checking in at the Galactic Patio. Thank you, and I guess I should say my name. Well, let me get a little energies. I do like to get the energies moving because that's the only way you get stagnant and get rid of stagnant energies. So to the east, to the west, to the east, to the north, to the west, to the south, above, below, and the center. Mm. Give some grounding energies out. And more healing energies. Perfect fifth. All right. And as you didn't know, I go by the name of Big Pontiac. I am the holder of the sacred infinite ball game created by the Hero Twins, and I am, as he put up there, I am that one and only Galactic Daddy-O, coming to each and every one of you, welcoming each and every one of you to my Galactic Patio that reaches from Black Dog Hill to the universe. Thank you, Anise. Thank you. Good to see you. Mac Bone, my main man. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Don't need this. At least not today. So thank you, everyone. And as I mentioned, I was talking about, the ritual and the grooming that has to come in the McDonald All-Star game. And I didn't think anybody from Michigan or Minnesota was in it because it was such a turnaround. I think they've been there since Sunday or Monday. They've been doing the 3-point shot and all that stuff. the young ladies played earlier today. I watched some of it, didn't watch much. But I when I looked at the team, none of the none of our guys. And I think our Mr. Basketball might have been a junior. He's out of Jefferson High School. I don't know though. I don't know if he won or not. And it's funny, my nephew was a year ahead of him at Jefferson. And if he'd have stayed, he'd have played with that dude. But I think, his team went further. All-Star game court was ugly as hell. Well, yeah, yeah. And I was wondering, I was trying to see what Bronny James, because he's under contract with Nike. So I was trying to see if because it appeared like the game was sponsored by Adidas, but it did not look like Bronny was wearing Adidas. It looked like he's wearing pink or like pinkish the 20s, the LeBron 20s. So yeah, and the jerseys, the lighter jerseys weren't that good looking either. So uh, but it's funny, check out Lobo's short about LeBron. Where he talks shit to him. Uh, remember what we watched LeBron do? We watched LeBron have a whole team wear suit and shorts. And then we watched LeBron get up from an interview with a purse. When he was wearing that suit and shorts, remember when he got up because they had lost or something? He came in the interview with that, he was holding a purse with the suit shorts. And then he comes out of there with the suit shorts. He picks up his purse. Like they asked him a question that made him mad. He picked up his purse and left. Like he made it, and everything is they and it is scripted. It was scripted for him to, so everybody saw him pick up the purse. And we know he wore the progressive dress. Don't forget that. Matter of fact, not only did he wear the dress, he wore the progressive dress, but he also wore the skirt, which would have represented masonry, being a mason. And we know he has the boule on the back. Thank you. Thank you, Anise. That is nice of you. Remember the interview after they got spanked by I remember that interview after they got spanked. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. But thank you, Anise. Yeah, so I mean, it was they wanted to emphasize him, holding a purse. So, but yeah, progressive. He wore the dress and he wore the apron and he has boule on his back. And what's interesting about him having boule on his back specifically is, as I talked about last night, the boule had to adjust because for years, the boule was just about college and education. It's about education, professionalism through education, politics through education. That was the Booker T. Washington thing. And so they wanted to tap the best and the brightest. And it was easy to tap them if you was already in a frat. Because that's who they're trying to tap, the biggest and the brightest through the frats. But they had to see that there was eventually, and with all these brothers not going to college and staying to college that long, you're having, and what they had to perceive is you had upper class brothers now making business moves without the education system. And we see the same thing in the music people. And so I think that's why they tapped LeBron and why LeBron got that big boule tattoo is I think that's what they looked at. They was like, look, we need to adjust because if we just depend on these college graduates, we got a lot of these entertainers, we're excluding them from being in the boule if they're not college. And, and the actors and entertainers didn't go into the Masons because a lot of them can be both. And if they're in the boule, they're definitely Masons as well. So keep that in mind. So you can't really look at him as you see he's a person that fits the script perfect. Just like he got mad at what is his name when the dude didn't put the ball back up against the Warriors when he had a chance to beat him. He got the rebound. All he had to do is put the ball back up and he wins. Remember that? Or even dribble out till you get fouled again. But he had the ball under the basket. Remember LeBron's reaction? Like, what are you doing? Why didn't you shoot the ball? All that was acting. Now we look back at that was just acting. He knew why JR didn't shoot it. And I said this back then. I said, JR in his earbud, JR was told we got the game, take it out. Because when LeBron said something to JR's lips, if you read his lips, go back to it now, he says, I thought we was up. That's what he looked at LeBron. He said, I thought we was up. Now, again, all that could have been acting as well. Yeah, J.R. Smith. Yep. J.R. Smith. And that's his answer. He says, I thought we was up. So that wouldn't surprise me, and that goes again into, how, like sometimes you see how dudes just fire up shots. Like a dude might not have had good 3 or 4 games, and he comes in the game, he just fire up a deep one, and he hits. So there has to be some kind of communication to these players. So that's why I thought they'd wear earbuds for years. Smith Reloaded, yeah, exactly. Yep. With a ring with the Lakers, yeah. That's how it works. You take this hit. I mean, look at Isaiah Thomas. Now again, Larry Bird was a great player for his first 4 or 5 years. He really was. Before he hurt his back, he was a great player. But Larry Bird's, career sank pretty quickly. And so he wasn't the same player. Pretty quickly his game kind of went down. And if you think of when the Pistons should have won 3 in a row, the Pistons should have won where Larry Bird gets that steal. Because first of all Isaiah had to do was call timeout to call a play. They get the ball, they get fouled, they won. So there was a reason why he didn't call timeout. Because it looked more authentic, him just trying to quick pass it in. Again, he's the point guard. Why is he taking the ball out? Why did he take the ball out? So you see how that was set up to give Larry Bird more life, another year of success. Because remember, Larry Bird, like what they're about to do to Joker, Larry Bird did the same thing. I think he won 3 MVPs in a row. Somewhere in there, Magic. I think he won 3 out of 4 years, and Magic won 1. 1 out of those 4 years, I think. Because their commercial, remember, he was like, I hear they making a shoe for last year's MVP. And he says, now they got a shoe for this year's MVP or something like that. Remember, that was the commercial that they became friends. Hey, Jane Doe. JR ended up with a golf scholarship. Probably joined a fraternity, Boulay. Yeah, he goes A&T. He goes to A&T. Probably got a nice crib in A&T. Them houses was cheap. Oh, my goodness. If I'd have stayed in Greensboro, oh, my goodness. I would have. Houses is cheap down there. Houses is cheap. Real cheap. I mean, you get $1 million house down there, you got a lot of house. You got a lot of house. Because I've always kind of looked at the markets down there. Because we've been looking at the Airbnbs because we might end up going down there homecoming. So, yeah, Bird on 3 in a row. Yeah, Bird was 3 in a row. Yeah, he won 3 in a row. Yeah. And I think Magic was in there, 3 out of 4 years. Magic, I think, won it the 1 year that he didn't win it. So Bird was a good player. But my point is, Isaiah throws that bad pass. And then remember, when Isaiah and them beat the Lakers the first year, remember, Scott was hurt. Scott was out. He didn't play any games. And then Magic comes up with a fake injury. He starts limping. He's like, man. I mean, you could just see how fake his injury was. He comes down the court and he grabbing his hamstring. But he's going all through like, man, why am I hurt, man? This type of acting we see. And then it was just the Pistons against James Worthy. Maybe Perkins was there, but it was the Pistons against James Worthy. And James Worthy wasn't going to beat all them. So he was rewarded. So he was told to, throw this one away. Throw this one away, and then, we'll give you in favor. It's going to be your turn. So, we pay attention to this kind of stuff. We pay attention to this kind of stuff because they've been doing it over and over again. And they keep trying to do it. You see the same agenda. Now, Joker has won the MVP, but they ain't let him win it all. And the most significant Europeans to win it has been what? Is going to be Dirk. And then the guy from San Antonio. Oh, I guess Tony Parker made it to the Hall of Fame. What was it? Tony Parker, Becky Hammond, Popovich, which wasn't. I was like, okay, Tony Parker and Popovich and Dwayne Wade. Wade. One dude I used to know, he called him Wade. He couldn't say Dwayne. He could not say Dwayne Wade, so he'd go Wade. Mm. The last American MVP was Harden in 18. There you go. There you go. So we see this all agenda. It's agenda driven. And as I've said before, for me and for many, it becomes a spiritual thing. It's not so for most American children and the way their family and they're raised, sports is a spiritual thing more than anything. It's a way of life. Now we know how in Africa and how they grow up. It's not quite the same. They the sports doesn't go back as far with them. Then the same thing in Europe. These kids, these children over in Europe are discovered to see if they tall or not. I mean, they're over there handled, groomed, and all. As I said before, they were so desperate they would follow NBA scouts would follow tall people home, see if they had any children, so they could put them in camps. That's how desperate they were. That's what they were doing. That's how much they hate the American player. That they were desperate. They're desperately in Europe and Africa. Remember, I've said this before. Africa was the lowest league. It was Sweden and Africa. If you played pro ball in them, you was just barely above semi-pro. But those was the two lowest leagues. Was to play semi-pro, were to play pro basketball in Africa and Sweden. That was two of the lower leagues. And now Africa has Africa NBA. And why? I mean, really, why? Why is it such a push for the America to go around the world to tap into these other markets? When what you're tapping in is minor league basketball. So how all of a sudden is this minor league in Europe where we're still sending guys who don't make it, that don't go G League? They are still going over there. So how is it that these players were ever needed? I mean, this has to be the most backwards way of it ever working. That all of a sudden there's an interest in recruiting from these minor leagues when there was never really any. It was the going to play in Europe was your last resort. If you were a hooper and you had to go play in Europe, that was your last resort. So how did this last resort league become so important? Where now they got to go recruit players from elementary school. Luka was recruited from elementary school. Remember that. He was recruited from elementary school. So how is that? J. Cole played in the African League and pushed the agenda as well. Well, yeah. I mean, we just saw what I just saw is Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson then did some DNA test and he's over, doing the same thing. What was that dude name that played in Grey's Anatomy? Isaiah Washington, maybe? When he was waiting and he found his DNA stuff and he's all celebrating and can't wait to go. Samuel Jackson's is over there on them people. That's still that's the Pan-African agenda still. So that's agenda. It's not original. It's agenda propaganda. Now, I love melanated people all over the world. Don't get me wrong. I love all the people all over the world. And don't tell me that's talent. Don't tell me it's talent. It's not a talent thing. You can't tell me and say it's talent, that the talent over there has gotten better. Because Europe is not the top feeder league anymore. It's Japan. Or excuse me, China. China, well, before COVID, they're still trying to, but that was the top league. That was where all the players was going. I mean, just recently they started sending older players back to the G League. But before then, I mean, look at Michael Beasley. Look how often he played over in China. It's like every other year he was in China. But that's the top league now. It's not Europe. And how many Chinese play in the league? But that's where everybody goes. That's where they would send people. They would send people over there because they felt the basketball was higher. And we have to look at the Nike connection too. All that plays. but that is Europe's not the top league anymore. Israel, England, what was it? Israel, England, Germany, Belgium. Trying to think of these places that got, there's the topper over there, the top leagues over there. Russia at one point. So, the league done lost their mind when they start to push Mexican NBA players. Now that I've said my, let me see, what was it? So I come home from college my sophomore year and I got an offer to play pro ball in Mexico because I had 4 friends. And if I showed you one dude that played a couple years down there, you would laugh to see him now because he's a preacher and he's big as house, but they were playing down there. And they had some people come talk to me, and I'm like, no way, you telling me I'm supposed to quit playing football to go down there and make how much? It's like, yeah, nah, I can't do that. I'm gonna keep playing football. So yeah, Mexico has had pro leagues for a long time. One dude I went to the police academy with, and you guys probably saw his son play out of Dayton. When Dayton had that run a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, Oliver was his name, but his daddy Kevin played at Western Michigan. He played pro ball in Peru. And he said that all the dudes who came down there would get strung out. He's like, 8 balls was $5. That's 3.5 grams, and dudes was coming down there getting strung out trying to play pro ball. But that's all lower league. Brazil, the league Brazil was in, that was a little better basketball down in Brazil. So dudes who played down in Brazil, they could get a pretty good league. I think at one point Brazil, again, there's Panama, Philippines, all these places that dudes could go play. One of my good friends that played at Oklahoma with Tisdale, he played in, it was either Philippines, and I think he let his visa and everything run out. He got back though. Adaro Nunge is the only Mexican NBA player that I can think of. Okay. Hostage with the Ravens. Your boy Lamar hostage with the Ravens. No, what they're punishing him for is being his own agent. Well, his mother is his agent, I think. But that's what this is all about. That's why they've done to him what they've done. Excuse me. And that's why, they made sure Daniel Jones got his money. It was more shaming of Lamar because we know Lamar is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. But they are shaming him because he's his own agent. They don't want that. They want to keep paying the middleman. So that is why they're putting heat on him. Because he ain't doing business the way they want him to do business. And so far, he ain't back down from that. So we're going to see. But that's really why, you see all this, why he ain't got money. That's it. That's it right there. He ain't got the money because of him being his old agent. So, don't know what else to say. Thank you very much. I'm not gonna go too long tonight. Yeah, his mom is his manager, and Lamar is his own agent. Yeah. See, and that's why. That is why because more players do that. That puts part of the business. Part of the business is the middle people. See, when you start making a lot of money, they put systems up to start getting some of your money. And that is all an agent is a middleman to take more of your money. That's what it is. You can hire a professional lawyer to read your contract. You can hire somebody that's into contract law, corporational contract law. You can get a lawyer to do that. But you see how they did LeBron James guy, or Maverick Carter tried to change the rules because all of a sudden everybody signed with him. He ain't got a college degree. You just had to register with the NBA. Because cutting out all these European middlemen, for the most part, that the NFL is in business with. This is how they want it done. But it's mainly just to have somebody in the players' pockets. Remember what did they say? NFL players, the average NFL player is broke after 5 years. How's that possible? Thank you, Anise. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is very nice of you. So remember that. And football makes the most money, and it's the most physically, physically demanding. And not saying basketball isn't physically demanding, because it is. But in a different way. But in a much different way. I mean, when you go to college level, superstition in playing football becomes great. I mean, you try to do almost everything identical. Now, again, when the games are scripted and stuff, but people still get hurt in scripted games. What do we always say about wrestling? You still got to be able to take the falls. If you can't take the falls, let me grab my phone. I heard it go off. Oh. Here's one for everybody. I don't know. My daughter is on some shit, and her mother gets, whatever my daughter puts out there, her mother gets it too. So whatever side she's on, her mother gets whatever. And so somebody put to my daughter, and again, my daughter's only 11, my youngest daughter, and somebody put, "You're cute," and my daughter put, "You think I'm an orange?" Or he said, "You are a cutie," and she wrote back, "You think I'm an orange, huh?" uh, I told her to start putting pictures of her brothers up. That's all she got to do. Somebody say like something like that. There's a picture of my son boxing in his apartment. I should put it on here one night, show you guys, because he's boxing Big Mike, and Big Mike is every bit of 6'7", but Big Mike is three something. So he's 6'6", 6'7", 330 maybe. Whereas my boy is like 6'8", 220, 230 of just pretty solid. And he knocks the shit out of Big Mike. So I have him send me out there. I have to show it. But he's boxing like, I've got a video. Well, he has to send it to me, but he's boxing two people, and he knocks them both out. Now I know this isn't funny, but you can look this up. My son, this is something we crack up about. But we found MMA in Russia. All right. And so it was like 2 against 1 MMA. Now, one of the fighters, again, they're in the cage match, so it's something else. And they're in Russia, I think, or one of those Eastern Bloc countries. So it's two dudes against one dude, but the two dudes, one dude only got one arm. So he got one, MMA boxing glove on, or cage glove on, and it's another dude. They go fight. They go fight this other guy. So he comes into the ring, and he immediately so the other guy comes into the ring. They start fighting. He immediately goes after the one-armed dude and knocks him out. Like within minutes the fight starts, he kicks the one-armed dude in the head and knocks him out. And then they show the one-armed dude going out, and then he knocks the other guy out. So my son always sends me that kind of stuff. They shame the melanated who work on all levels some kind of way. That is a good point. They do. They do. Yeah. That's the part of it. It's like I wonder, like even like Zion's injuries, like why is he not playing? I mean, really, why is he not playing? Just makes you wonder, like, why are they holding this guy back? Is he really injured that bad? Is he out of shape? It just makes you wonder, why are they holding him back? And that's what appears is happening, is that he's being held back. Now we watched people, miss their first season. Chet Holmgren is not playing this year for Oklahoma City because he hurt his ankle in summer league, if you remember. But I think really what they were trying to do is let his body get bigger because he got hurt in June. Camp ain't till August, so I think they wanted him to get used to traveling, eat better, and get stronger. And he's a weird looking guy. I feel like Zion is trying to force his way out of NOLA in the long run. That Russian MMA is too funny. Yeah, Sean. If you watch that was a hoot. That was truly a hoot. Lion trying to force his way out of NOLA. Well, no one wants to play out of there. The NBA wants a team down there so bad. Because remember, the Hornets played down there for a couple years. And they had the original Jazz. The original Jazz was in New Orleans. That's why the Jazz is called the Jazz, because they was in New Orleans. Pistol Pete is what really kept their franchise, the Jazz in New Orleans. And then once Pistol Pete, well, then he played, I think, a year in Utah, too. So they want the NBA there for some reason. It doesn't seem like the players like it there. Remember, the owners of the Jazz own the Saints, the wife, because that guy died. He had Alzheimer's and died, and so his wife runs both the Jazz and the Saints, because she was much younger than him. So, but yeah, the MMA is just whatever it's called over there. It's just my son and I watch that stuff all the time. It is just it's a hoot. I mean, he has that kind of he has the same kind of humor that I have in some ways. Nola should have a baseball team instead of a basketball team. Well, yeah, I mean the baseball teams down there are strong. So yeah, I would think so too. It's just it doesn't seem like, hey, Liquid Fire, thank you for joining me. I'm wonderful. Thank you. I hope you are as well. So yeah, so that's the same thing. Now, on the other hand, people don't seem to mind playing in OKC. I mean, you don't. Again, it's not a big city, but it seems like the younger players, like once they got rid of Durant and Harding and Westbrook, it seemed like the younger players don't like it, don't mind it that bad. I mean, do you know the size of crib you can get there compared to some of these other places and not have to spend that much? Do y'all remember the dude got traded from the Titans to the Rams. When he was in Memphis, he had a house that was 10,000 square feet, and he said it was like 1.45 million, something like that. But it was 10,000 square feet. He had to pay more for a house that was like 3,000 square feet. It was like the same money, but 3,000 square feet in LA. So just tells you. And they were adjusting. Which reminds me, do y'all remember when Sinbad, Sinbad's TV show started after he had a bankruptcy? Do y'all remember that? They moved from a big ass house on Malibu and they moved to a smaller house in LA. Do y'all remember that? That's how the show started, was through his bankruptcy, and he's bitching about because he ain't got as much size, and it was still a relatively big house. So Donald Atkins, I think is his real name. I don't know if y'all remember all that. That was kind of hilarious to me. But I think, it makes you see, like, what does Sly call it? The illusion of wealth. That's what we see. Like, why is it? And I look at, as you look at shorts on YouTube and TikTok, why is it that these so-called young wealthy people always have to show money? Like, why is that? And we know how easy it is to buy prop money. But why is that highlighted so much? Like, they showed the dude who's kind of handicapped on YouTube, some blonde head guy, and he goes into a jewelry store and pays $60-some thousand. That most places might not take all that cash. So you already know it was an agreement. But if you want to get that kind of cash out of a bank, you got to order that money. That is what armored cars are for. You go to the bank, you order money. That's what the armored cars service is for people who order money. I've delivered money to banks, and only certain banks carry millions. That's why it's a stupid motherfucker to rob a bank. Some banks only carry 30,000 cash daily. That low. They might get a little more on Fridays, but most banks don't carry a lot of cash. They be sitting them down to keep the numbers, huh? That's a good point. Ben Simmons averaged 666, missed 33 games, and played in 42. Oh, great breakdown, Earl. Great breakdown. Great breakdown. It's a good point. But he was damaged goods coming into the league. You know, they hit, as I said, they hit him at LSU. He was hid down there because they did not want him in a pressure game. They could not keep pushing Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons would have went to Duke and we would have saw at Duke, he'd have been scared to take the last shot. He'd have been scared of the pressure. He would have been exposed and wouldn't have been the number one pick. But instead, down there, they was able to hide him because this is all agenda. Ben Simmons is still agenda. Not saying 6'10" ain't bad, but again, 6'10" can't shoot. They didn't even have a mid-range. I mean, a point guard a point or a two guard that has to shoot layups. No mid-range. No confidence in this mid-range. So, but back to the illusion of wealth. Why is it that all these young people, why is it that they have to show all this cash when cash has almost disappeared? And as I said last night, now all the jewelry that people wear looks the same. Why is that? You act like it's like this diamond encrusted jewelry ain't been around forever? You've always been able to get some diamond encrusted jewelry. Why does that appeal to everybody? Why does everybody feel like that's the way to show you made it? It's the same type of thing everybody else wear. And you can get the Morganites on that stuff. You can get the zirconians on that stuff. What did 50 Cent say? One of their chains got stolen. It was Morganites. Wasn't even the diamonds, which Morganite is very close. Oh, yeah, I remember. I hope you're doing. The LS team didn't even make the tournament. Exactly. It didn't even make the tournament. So they did not want Ben Simmons exposed in college. They did not want him exposed. What was that coach that played with Shaq? Johnny Johnson? No, that wasn't his name. But he played with Shaq. Chris, or later changed his name, but Chris Jackson. So, those folks need attention. Attention is one hell of a drug. And this killing in rap, this hatred that you see of people in Chicago. And it's like Chicago reminds me of Berlin after World War II. The way it was partitioned to the Russians, to the French, to the English, and Americans. That's what Chicago seems like. I mean, how is it that a person that lives somewhere else, just but not that far, is such an enemy? How is that they become such an enemy? And if you get beat up because you're in the wrong place, that deserves you coming back and killing people? Does that seem norm? Does that seem like that's how young people think? That's the only solution? If these young men achieve some fame and they show whatever wealth they achieve, and these young men are getting killed because apparently that's the life they live in. What kind of life is that? I couldn't imagine that. But it reminds me, Chicago is looked at, and I guess LA at times was looked at as that as well. It's like you seriously can't. What do they say? You can't be slipping. I mean, that is just that if that ain't a stalking hitman mentality, when you can go up to a person and be like, "Hey, we could have killed you today, but we give you a break," and that the person just could not go one step out of his boundary to a store or somewhere to eat without the risk of being murdered. I mean, what kind of country is this? How is that? I mean, it is almost like the mindset of the Italians and the syndicate in around the 1920s, 1930s, where if you're just in the wrong spot, you get popped. Or you get beat down, and then you get beat down, you want to go pop somebody. Now, I am no angel. I've been in shootouts. I've robbed people. I ain't never broken nobody's house, but I've robbed dope people. But I ain't never ever have to kill them. Most of the time, they would just give me the shit. So it's not like I'm sitting here. I ain't lived some of the life and had some of these experiences. Yeah, it's people like one dude I got into it with when I was living in Greensboro because I carried a gun every time. By the time I came back from playing football, shit, I had money. I had a bunch of guns, but I carried a 357 Magnum all the time in a gun bag. Everywhere. I took it everywhere with me. And I got it. The weirdest beef I'd ever had, I got into with a dude who moved with me. He moved with me. All he asked me to give him some weed. I gave him some weed. And he kept hounding me. And so I saw his car. I walked in the back of the apartment. This dude was in there playing cards. I slid up in there on him. Now, I could have killed him. But for what? Just because he was just tripping? But I put fear in him because I caught him. And I was holding that bag. But I could have. And really, I just did it to show him, like, okay, keep fucking with me. I'm going to keep catching you. But this idea that the enemy, that they made each, you look at a sea of melanated people, and all of a sudden they're the enemy because they're from a different side of town. They joined a different club. This is just division. Yeah, a lot of jewelry looks bulky and a little tacky to me now. Yeah, it's just too much. You see some of these dudes and it's just draped. That makes no sense. And so if it makes no sense, it makes you think, how real is that? It's like, is he told to do all that? Is that CB40? Is this a costume? And they have to wear these costumes now, which is possible. Because remember Soul Plane? They made the little son, a B-boy. They made the little son like a little B-boy. It's a costume. You can be in character. I don't know. I just never been one that I want to do what everybody else is doing far as my appearance. Now, and as I said before, if you dress bummy up here, there's no excuse. High quality clothes. This is the high quality clothes capital. Whatever you want is up here, and it's a good price because there's no tax on clothes. So there's no excuse to not to dress decent up here. My daughter be mad because I be bringing shoes, and she's like, "You didn't let me pick out my own shoes." Well, I'll take these $100 shoes back. No, Dad. I like them. Yeah, and the weather's breaking. I got to get her some more shoes, and I got to get my other nephew. Got to get him some Vans. He wanted some Vans, so I got to go hook him up because that's what we do. He's going to junior high, and I'm gonna help his grandmother make sure he goes to junior high and looks like a little G. Looks like a little young man. Because junior high is a developmental stage for a lot of us. And so when you start, you want the people in junior high to have confidence in the way they look. So nobody can, say, your shoes. No, it's like we're going to have him going in there looking well. Because the reason why you wear your new stuff the first day is that first impression is a lot of times a lasting impression. So you look good the first day, people you see that you're going to look good almost every day with that first impression there. Because before my children went to junior high, my boys was Walmart outfits for $5. They had tops and bottoms for $5. So I had two boys damn near the same age. I gave them 5 outfits of each so they could mix and match. And here's my parents of boys. I stopped trying to match socks. I would just wash socks and put them in a bucket because I got tired of trying to match socks they lost. These mugs would go to school and come back home with one sock on with the shoe still on. Like, how do you go to school and lose a damn sock? some crazy ass story, but he put his shoe back on, but you didn't bring your socks home. So I know there's some parents out there can relate to that. I was like, no, I'm gonna grab you, put your dirty clothes here. I'm gonna wash them, and whatever socks that ain't mine, y'all share these. And that's a true story. That's a true story. And I noticed my daughter's mother did the same thing with my daughter because she never has matching socks. So it's like a losing battle. Here's something. It's like this is frustrating, and this makes you wonder about reality. How many of y'all got you live in houses, and or if you live in an apartment with your own washing machine in the place, all right? How frustrating is it to lose socks in your own washing machine? It's different to go to the laundromat, but how frustrated is it to lose one sock? You done put your hand all through that. You know you put two socks in there, and then you come out and it's like, where the hell is the other sock? Like, how do I lose a sock going a few feet? I put both of them in. Does the machine eat the socks? Oh, does the machine eat the socks? Is there a demon in the dryer? What happened to my other Nike sock? I mean, you tell me that is some of the most frustrating stuff in the world, you know. And it's like I don't know. I guess I won't go to that, but it's just funny, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that happens to. And the socks turn up. I'll say that the socks do turn up. They being stuck onto something else and stuff. So, and my son comes over and does laundry over here, which is fine. I did the same thing in my father's house. My ex-wife, that was like with my ex-wife, my three boys' mom. That was kind of like our social Sunday. We would go over to her mom's house and wash clothes. And we would sit there and cook, smoke weed. Her dad watched sports. Me and her dad smoke weed and watch sports. That was kind of our Sundays. We did that for years. Wash clothes and let my little boy play around. A lot of his toys was at his grandparents' house. I think it was before the other two was born. It was just him. So we did, so I understand. What do you say? I get by with a little help from my friends. You remember that song? I get by with a little help from my friends. And that's what a good friend is. I ain't got a lot of friends, but I got a good friend. I had heard a joke. I had heard a joke one time about loaning money, so I called my friend up like, "Hey, Tony, I need $300." He's like, "When you need it?" He didn't even hesitate. He said, "When do you need it?" And it was a joke I was telling him. I had heard the joke about borrowing some money, and I told him the joke, and he's like, "You don't need any money. That's a joke." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a joke." But the point is, he's like, "Whatever you need, whatever you need." But I haven't been to that point. Now, I've said this before, and many of you may can relate if you have nephews, children, nieces, whatever. Why is it when children call you for money, they ask for $20? And I've talked about this many times before, but it is like my one son always calls me, "Dad, you got 20." Why is it always 20? Our nephew calls, they just got done hooping. He always needs 20. It's like they never call and say, like, "Hey, could you just give me 10? I need a couple Whoppers," or some shit like, well, Whopper is damn near $10 now. So socks are crazy. Like, it's a matching sock. Exactly. Exactly. Socks is crazy. But how many of y'all know that at $20? Like, oh, you got 20? What is it about $20? It's like maybe that ain't asking too much. It's like, oh, I guess if I ask 50, that's too much. But it seems like that's the standard asking rate of, can you give me some money? $20. Uh but it's gonna be a cold morning. It's gonna be a cold night. We had the fireplace downstairs. I had all the windows and stuff earlier. The sun was out. I had to take some stuff. And then there's this crazy, and I've said this before. This probably is insanity, a little bit insanity. because we as a society, we the only people that we pay for our stuff to live somewhere else. We pay for our stuff to live somewhere else. It's like, why won't we throw the stuff away? Like, I threw away one of my Godfather hats. I've had this hat for 16 years. I haven't worn it in probably 10. Why do I keep keeping it? Because I found it today. I was like, why do I keep keeping this hat? No matter what I paid for it 10 years ago. Now, I'm trying to think. It has to be longer than that. I had to buy that hat, yeah, at least 10 years ago. I bought that hat probably 9, 10. So longer than that, I guess now. But, well, my son was in 10th grade when I bought that hat. So that was 10. So it's 13 years I have had this hat. What do I still need it for? I ain't wore the hat in 10 years. So I threw it away today. And even though I was like, well, maybe I should go donate it. And it was orange. Like orange Godfather hat. I was enthusiastic when I bought it, but I don't have a lot that it matches. And that's the Midwest in me. You know, I love how, dress hats, no doubt. That's kind of a Midwest thing. It goes back to, it really goes back to, it's interesting. One of I'm not a big proponent of Booker T. Washington, but there's a picture of him on stage speaking, and you look and everybody has hats on, like dress hats on. That's really where the idea of the tinfoil hat comes from. It's just hats, because it goes back to protecting your crown. That's why we wear hats. That's why women, well, they cover their heads so you can't kind of see the fullness of their beauty, I guess. But it's still the same concept of keeping your crown protected. Watch old movies. Everybody wore hats. Everybody, women, men. Mm. So, yeah, I'm not gonna go too long. What time is it? Yeah. I said I wouldn't stay up all night tonight. I'll stay up all night tomorrow night. I average going to bed about 4. 4 to 11 is perfect. 4 to 11 seems to be perfect for me. I get good sleep. I don't sleep too late in the day. That seems to be what I like. 4 to 11. But these are just old man thoughts. That's all. Just old man thoughts. And thank everybody for being here, giving you my heartbeat, giving you a piece of me. That's it. Just some observations. Just some observations. And it's funny, these little shorts are so funny, the things that we listen to. Like I follow one dude that's a lockpick. He's a lockpick. And the guy proved that you can actually get out of handcuffs, double lock handcuffs, because you do handcuffs, you double lock them. And this dude showed that you really can you can pick handcuffs with a paper clip, and you can actually open up both locks. And you can buy this stuff. This is what blows me away. You can buy all this lock picking stuff. Like check this out. I used to know a dude that could safe crack. Like was still breaking into places, and he could actually safe crack. And he was old and he had quit doing it by the time I met him. But he used to tell me these fantastic stories of breaking into places and breaking into these big ass safes. I mean, I guess the way I'm cut, I was like, okay, so that's all I learned. And I mean, that risk, all that work of having to break in the safe. Well, yeah, we get a lot of money in it. I don't know. I don't see learning a skill to do that. Hey, what's going on, D Steel? Thank you for joining. Is it here? Yes, it is. Okay, good. All right, cool. So that kind of stuff interests me, that you can pick into almost any kind of lock, and you can buy the stuff freely. So I don't know. I guess for when people accidentally lock themselves, that's what this stuff is for. And it's funny, the last time I saw the guy, well, no, I'll take that back. The guy who could break locks, pick in safes, I didn't see him again. I saw his work, because when my ex-wife's grandfather died, the money was in the safe. And none of them had the combination. So they called this guy. And they got all the money. They got the money that was owed to the children. So I saw what he did. And this was a safe that was bolted to the wall. Big safe. But I saw his work. And he got in that sucker. And I know how much the old man paid for the safe when he put it in there. Because I used to ask him. So that was the last time I saw his work. Because he opened that safe up. So I've run across a lot of people. And that's the human experience. You just listen to their story and you're like, okay, you don't judge. You just say, okay, wow. That was you was into. Henchmen, henchmen. As, a safe cracker is a henchman like a mug. That magic 20 bill, they probably want more, but it seems reasonable perhaps. $20 ain't shit at the grocery store, especially in these days. A little 20 hits when you a youngster back then, but man, like you go out to eat, that's it. I mean, you going fast food. I mean, right now, Whopper's what, $7-8? Big Mac is $6-7. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that what my daughter and I would get with Wendy's would be like $14-15. Now that same meal is like $27. So, but yeah, it doesn't give them much. And then my son was like, Dad, quit sending any money because you know what they do. They go buy weed and then they don't get nothing to eat. Well, again, I don't give it to him with any judgment. I just give it to him. What he does is on him. If he would rather smoke weed than eat food, that's on him. Now, I do need to take him some food over there more than likely. I don't work with the food shelves anymore. So I don't have access to take the food like I used to. So I probably should, because he would benefit from that, no doubt. A safe cracker, a sly motherfucker. Oh, yeah, he's a henchman. It's like dudes go case places. It's like, yeah, the safe is in, Roger's office. And, figure out how to break into the factory or break into the building. Oh, I tell you, definitely an inside job. You see these places, these car places getting hit where they stealing the demons. That's an inside job. It's no way. There's no way that you're that precise to know where everything is at without somebody inside telling you. And if a business is that stupid, and I'll say this, most car dealerships are pretty liberal the way they show where all the keys are. But it takes some inside help to take them cars. It's no way that they just know they can time everything with response and know how to get away to get those cars. To make those cars disappear so fast. I mean, cars not easy to hide in some instances. But again, each organization is the sophistication of who's doing it. This is mine. Found mine. This is lapis. I think this is aquamarine. This is rose quartz. Cat's eye. Might be considered carnelian. No, this is the carnelian. And this is supposed to be a chakra set. I don't really mess with this anymore. I was thinking about putting some of these on my wand. What do you think? And you'll see me like be old man perking people. Zap. Oh, you say what? Zap. Couldn't put wands in, it'd be people like with guns and stuff. What you say, folks? What you doing around here? You lacking, and you could hit him with the wand. Hey, he's in the wrong neighborhood. Why'd you hit him with the wand? Because he's in the wrong neighborhood. You shouldn't hit him with the wand. I guess that would be a little more dangerous because wands, you're supposed to zoop. You can make them disappear with the wand. Boom, disappear, blow them up. Make everybody wizards. Well, I'm at the 1 minute mark. I'm at the hour mark, so I didn't really mean to go on. Let me see. I was just about to ask if you had any tiger's eyes. Yeah, yeah, that's one. Let me show you another. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Do I got the flashlight in here? Let me see if I can find the other tiger's eye. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here's my wand, and I've had this. I've had this for about 15 years. This is one of my old. Well, I've had this for about 13 years, maybe 13. Great crystal to travel with. Cat's eye. But I've had this forever. Let me see here. Oh, the phone is back over behind me. Yeah, let me grab this. Hold on. Can I find it right here? Probably have to grab it from here. Yeah, I want to gosh, I'm going to start writing up some stuff. There's a book called now for those of you that want to study deeper into things. This cat is pretty deep. He puts a lot of decent information out there. And I've got another book on PDF called The Complete Magician's Tables. Now, before I leave, I'll break that down a little bit of what was done. And so you can understand why we are in some of the predicaments we're in. So Cortez goes into Mexico. They capture, for one reason or other, however they're able to do it, they capture, let me see what she said. Oh, hell no. That reminded me of switches. Good old whipping. And so Cortez, when they capture Montezuma, kill him, and they take over Tutucanton, Mexico, which is modern day Mexico City, they took away his crystal ball, and then they took away his scrying mirrors. They took away the crystal skull that he had too. And so you know where 007 comes from. You know John D is the original 007 because when he wrote his name John D, it looked like 007. So that's where they come up with it. So the idea of 007 being a British agent goes back to the 1500s because John D was the first spy. So some kind of way he got all this information. He got these artifacts. So some kind of way John D end up, and then he gets with a dude named Kelly. And so they actually make a code and they collect all the codes and the symbols from scrying. And it appears, for those of you that look at this, okay. Oh, nice. Very nice. And so they, from this American information, they was able to tap into a lot of these ley lines and where the ley lines are in the world and the importance of ley lines. And a lot of ways they use what they learned to kind of conquer us too. And kind of steer this reality to the way it is today. And so the next few weeks, I'm going to be breaking this book down and trying to relate how it was done and how it affects you and me today. So, and this book is called, again, some of this stuff I had, the Complete Magician's Tablet. I had some of this stuff. I don't know what happened to it, but he sent me the PDA. I'm ordering the book too, so I have the hard copy. So I know that ain't everybody's thing. that ain't everybody's thing, but I just want to give you a little taste of kind of what we faced and why things are the way they are. Because again, this is not technology. This is magic. All this is magic. It's not technology. This is magic. Now, it's a magic that we don't quite understand, but this is still magic. It's not technology. That's the see. They want to tell us that this is science and this is technology, but when in fact it's a type of magic. So when we know that magic is a trick, it's a trick. Now, magic can help, can heal, but the way they're doing this, there's no helping or healing, is it? Seems like this type of magic is about control and controlling us, our emotions, our feelings. I mean, the events at these schools. I mean, we're not fooled by these events at the schools and their agenda because they know they can rectify, they can stop it. People get paid, they can protect the schools. Remember the one guy that went into school, the sheriff ran out? Don't strike me for that. That's a real event. So these are just some things to consider. So I'm gonna try to break down and then see how it breaks down into today. Again, I want to emphasize this book right here, y'all. It shows you how what the Maya has turned into surveillance capitalism. And we are giving them so much of our. We have ways that we are wealthy and that they want to tap into those ways that they get rich off of and we don't, by showing them our habits, our likes, not likes. This information has worth. I'm guessing is what I'm saying. It has worth. Hey, Lorenzo, what's happening, man? Good to see you. So it has worth. And that's how we're valuable. Because our ideas, and as I've said many times, and I quit talking about it, but this new picture technology, they don't give things away for free, y'all. Especially nothing high tech as that. And if you don't think your imagination is important, if you don't value your imagination and you like openly sharing your imagination, then what can I say to you? Because the machine wants to tap into your imagination. It's not enough for them to try to read your dreams. They actually want you to interact with this. Show me your imagination. What can you come up with? And we're slowly showing machines how to be us. So however you want to think about it. I mean, this is a part of it too. Now, it ain't the whole story that you created a beautiful picture. Okay? But you created out of your imagination. Yes, you had to put it to this machine, but that's how you created, out of your imagination. So you are giving it something for a shirt. You are giving it thousands of inputs, or however many inputs you're giving it. You're getting back you're getting back almost like sugar. You know how the sugar hits your endorphins? The picture's done and you're like, whoa. But yet you done gave all these, how many inputs it made to make that. And you're only going to feel good for a couple seconds when it's done. But yet you've given this machine a part of something, a part of you that was hidden in a part of you. Because we're not great artists or great drawers. We have to tell the machine to put our imagination out there. So keep that in mind. That's all. And nothing's all bad and nothing's all good. Mm. Mm. There's some things in between. That's why I don't get into good and evil. It's wicked. That's what it is. Good and evil is a balance there, but wicked, there's no balance. If you're talking about the left-hand path, that's wicked. That's wicked. And some people choose to do that. I wanted to add this. I did not add this about John Wick. And this is for Quantum of Science. So John Wick, Did he get hit by a car or some shit? John Wick gets on a train. And as he's getting onto the train complex, guess what color we see? Magenta. So he gets into the train complex to ride the subway or something, and as soon as he gets there, magenta comes across. I kind of laughed. I forgot to mention that. I was like, kept telling myself, remember this, and I've just remembered now. So as soon as John Wick gets on that train platform, it turns to magenta. So I wanted to. So what does my brother Magbone say? You receive the same energy, but you give out. The foundation of occult science is consciousness. Everything is intent. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. It is. It's about intention. It's like I was talking about. The $20 giving my son and our nephew $20. If you give it with the intent that they supposed to buy food or something, that's not giving them anything. It's like you really didn't give it to them because you put a expectation. Like some people say they don't give, to people like here you can stand up and hold a sign. You got people that can do that in this state. It's legal to stand up and hold a sign and beg all day. And a lot of people say, well, I don't give money because they're going to go drink. Well, okay. But if you feel that you need to help them, and wow, this is kind of deep too. And this does a little matrix like, and sometimes it's fucked up. How do I say this? Sometime when you cross paths with a needy person might be more something else. Because there's times where I've driven by and I was like, oh, I was supposed to give him some money. I drove around the block and stopped again. I'm like, okay, because I saw what it was. So sometimes you have to recognize that. You have to recognize what's standing there. Sometimes you understand and you should just ignore them because they ain't really real. That's really what it boils down to. It's like they ain't really real. You just gonna stand there all day? I saw a lady out there, and the lady had to be, she was probably 5'10", 350. And I saw her one day walking, because she lived somewhere around this hospital where she was on the highway, holding up her sign. I was like, wow. And she had a little sign with a story on it, but it's like people would look at you and think, you ain't, you haven't been missing any meals. You're not hungry. The optics, the optics. You give people money to help people, but not to judge people. Exactly right. That's it. You can't have any expectation with it. You're either going to help me or you don't. No matter what I do with it. You're either going to give it to me or you're not. You're either going to give it out or you're not. Can't say, well, you better go buy some food. That's on them. That's on them if they don't buy food. If you get money from me and go buy weed and don't buy food, that's on you. It was like we gave our nephew, gosh, we gave him like 100 and something. Because all the basketball and moving around. And then he calls back a couple of days later. It's like, wait a minute, dude, we just gave you a bunch of money. We just gave you like 2 days ago a bunch of money. So how are you calling me 2 days later and you still live with your parents? It ain't like he was like, well, I'm trying to get something to eat. I'm like, last time I looked in your fridge, your folks got plenty of food there. So these are some of the situations that we come into too as parents, cousins, aunts, uncles. So, and I've kind of slipped a little bit because I could give my sons more food by just working with the food banks. And I just, since I've moved, I live so far because one place is great, but it's just like an hour away. It takes me an hour to drive down there. It takes me an hour to drive back. And then it's going to take me 35 minutes to take it to my son. So it's like, is that all that worth it? Do I have 2.5 hours? And that's not even to drive back home. So it's like to do all that would take me 4 hours just to go get the food, come back, drive to his house, and then come back home. For a grown person, because technically he could do it too, because this place takes anybody if you need food. Doesn't matter where you live, you just got to get out there. Now, would I be willing to take him out there sometime? Yeah, if he showed that initiative, I probably would. So, I'll help them when I can help them. Oh, he's still going. Shit. Here. Ah, that's what I wanted. I think it's right here.
Still open? Oh shit, you can get it, nigga. You wanna get it? No goddamn money then, nigga. Talk that talk to me, you ain't got a gun in your hand.
Just giving you a little words from Superfly. Well, thank you for being part of my heartbeat tonight and listening to me. I'm gonna take a short show tonight. I will be back tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat place, and the same funky station. The same funky station. The memory of Skull and Bones, and Yale stole his skull from his grave and brought it to the headquarters of New Haven. That's right. But mention of Skull and Bones, yeah, we talked about that last night. They took Geronimo's head. That is the story. Prescott Bush, I think it was Prescott Bush, and some bunch of people. Geronimo hadn't been buried that long, less than like 30, 40 years, and so they dug his skull up. So if you look at that original picture of the first Skull and Bones, that's Geronimo's skull and bones. So, yeah, they put his skull in the jar, and as I said before, Osceola's head still is not returned to the family. His body is in that fort in South Carolina, but not his head. They removed his head. So whatever, that's like the Simpsons showing, everybody's the heads and stuff. But that makes you wonder, like they were supposed to have Nat Turner. We know Nat Turner was more than likely a fictional character that didn't exist. And right before the movie, they supposedly returned his head. Because Nat Turner, they said they was making skin out of, they were making clothes out of his skin, is what they're, there was a lot of, but it seemed like a lot of propaganda with Nat Turner. It just seems like that story wasn't real. We'll see, and it's funny the argument that I feel my man Turtle Gang, it's him and Dane Calloway. It's just so sad to see that both have such information, so good information, but they're counting each other out. Now, what Dane is doing is and I'm guilty of that in some aspects, is we are changing history because part of this story ain't been told. It's been told in the opposite way of what it really is. It's a fear program. It's a way of putting us down. But the way those two brothers go back and forth, it's interesting. And I don't want to be that guy that I got to talk about other niggas to, have something to say. His information ain't right, and his people ain't here, and his people ain't there. I can't get into that. That's a waste of time and waste of energy. And his brothers attacking each other. And that's all we know how to do is attack each other. You can't sit down and find a common ground. I don't know. The student won the case from his family in August. Wow. Wow. Hey, Red Wolf, thank you for joining me. Yeah, definitely. He knows. Red Wolf knows. And a lot of this stuff is changing the past. That's what you have to understand. This stuff reverberates into the past where the past gets changed. I mean, we just don't affect the future. We also can affect the past. And a simple understanding of the past is this the 9/11 stuff, and how you look at stuff now that was presented then. It's like, wait, what did they know? Did they try to show us something? No, what happened in the future reverberated back to the past. And that shows you how some of this negative stuff comes in. Yeah, it's tiresome. Oh yeah, it is. It is. It is. And so, as I say, we can all disagree if you study certain things, and that's just what you study. Now, I joke about it sometimes, but that's what you study, and that's what you think is relevant to you. Then right on. But to sit here and have to tear down and show somebody else's work, and I just that ain't me. Not like that to tear them down. So because they both have good minds. Now, I've said before, and I said this last night, Dame's got a lot of scam in him. That's how I met Dame, on Facebook. And sisters was hitting me up. It was like, Dame, dudes would pay one price and then Dame would charge a different price for the women. And this happened, like, I was friends with Dame like 14, 15, because they put a group together and I was in their group. And I remember I hit the group and she's like, this is Dame's group. And I hit Dame, was trying to say this. I live on the Mississippi River, so don't try to throw that Africa stuff. The Mississippi River is not the Nile. And we can go down there. You want to go down there and do ritual with me at the river, and we can ask the river and see what the river say. Now that was the first conversation with Dane. He's like, okay, I'm near and I'll come up there. Come up here. We'll go down to the river. Because my fiance's aunt's got a boat. We can go onto the river and ask the river. We can ask the river. What's the name of it? So, fresh black jersey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. This hat's old as hell. It's hard to find them. They trying to hide this stuff and change it so you can't get it. Nah, these jerseys is readily available. Readily available. Well, with that Superfly clip, I'm going to let you go. Thank you again for everybody coming. And sharing your heartbeats with me. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your super funky host,